Nakati okyali mulabi mulungi ow'omunyo live ku Sol TV akawungezi kano akalero tukuleetera kitundu kya kubiri negatiddwako Apollo Tusime tulabe ebigambo nga bwe bigenda okutambula. Apollo, ensonga ekwatagana ne security ab'ebitongole ebikuuma ddembe bagamba nti bannayuganda balemeddwa okuuma ebiragiro n'okussa mu nkola ebyaweebwa gavumenti ku nsonga y'ekirwadde COVID-19. Ekigambo kino olowooza amaanyi bwe ganaateekebwako bannayuganda bayinza okubaako we batuuka?
Ndowooza era kibadde kiseera gavumenti ebeereko n'ekyekola ekyenjawulo kuba embeera naawe badde ogiraba nga bye batugamba okukola okunaaba mu ngalo, okwambala masiki ng'oba oliawo tetukyabitwala nga bikulu. Ndowooza wadde wateekwa okubeerawo ekikolebwa mu kiseera kino kyennyini.
Abantu baggulawo ebbaala, abantu masiki bazambala balabye owa poliisi, abalala tebazirina.
Kyekiseera ndowooza gavumenti ebeereko n'ekyekola kuba twogera ku kutaasa obulamu. So ku kutaasa obulamu tewabeerawo compromise oba okuleka ebintu ebimu n'oga nti kiyitewo.
Tewabaawo kusaagira. Ate ekisinga obukulu COVID tuwulidde wano nti kumpi akunukiriza mu bantu 30 abaakafa. Webale kutwegattako Apollo Tusime kakati twagala tugende mu kanyomero Limelight n'oluvannyuma tunaababuulira ebiddako Apollo nga akabatuusaako.
Kampala City Traders Association Kasita protested any future plans by government to reinstate the COVID-19 lockdown, saying Ugandans can now live with the pandemic. Kasita asked government to consider holding accountable the landlords whose premises have been cited for violating standard operating procedures for prevention of COVID-19 instead of focusing only on traders.
Ogamba tugalako ebizo n'omulundi gwe gumu nga waliwo abakkiriza okukolera gavumenti byeragira era abayise mu kasensulo okubasensula ne bayita kakati gwe atanateekateekako ebyo ffe ku lwakasiita tukutegeeza nti ebyo bikwatako n'abantu era tetwagala ojje gye tuli olaajane.
Mr. Thaddeus Musokekeno, the Secretary General of Kasita, while speaking to Salt Media, said the previous lockdown had shattered the traders' livelihoods and businesses, adding that the reinstatement would be tragic, unreasonable and ruinous.
Kirabika mu kubiriza tebawuliriza bulungi mugenda okwesanga omulabe yatusensera dda tugamba leka tulwanyise omulabo ono.
Keno says that Kasita strongly disagrees with any program or arrangement of calling for a second lockdown. He says the lockdown is not the best alternative. Other countries like United States of America, Germany and Kenya have managed to live with the virus amid high cases and deaths. He says traders have just acquired more loans to meet their rental and bank obligations. Getting them into another lockdown without providing any solution is a big threat, not only to the business community, but the entire country. He blamed government for failing to mitigate the interest rates and penalties that banks are imposing on traders who acquired loans before the lockdown. Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. I am Simapolo and this is the Limelight. The global COVID-19 pandemic has ravaged economies across the globe ever since it was reported in December 2019. Uganda's economy is not an exception to this global threat, with several sectors still struggling to shrug off the effects of the lockdown imposed by government in April. However, authorities in Uganda are currently taking short and hard challenges following a surge of cases of coronavirus infections recorded in the recent past. The authorities could be contemplating hard choices, including another lockdown, which traders say is not the best option. At this time, let me bring in my guest this evening. He happens to be the chairman of Kampala Capital City Traders Association, Kasita, and Everest Kayondo is also the chairperson, Uganda Tours and Travels Association, another sector that was highly affected by the first lockdown. Mr. Everest Kayondo, you are live on Sol TV, and we would want you to tell us briefly about the impact of another lockdown in case government opts to impose a second lockdown amid this surge of coronavirus infections in the country.
Yeah, good evening, viewers, and thank you, Apollo, for hosting me. As he has ably told you, I'm Kayondo Everest. I'm the chairman of Kasita, which Kasita is the association which superintends over the traders. I'm also the chairman of Auto, which is the association of tour operators in Uganda, and we have about 300 tour operators, 300 companies. And seriously, when you look at those two sectors, they have been highly impacted by the coronavirus, COVID-19. Incidentally, taking a second surge of closure would be terrible for the trading community, and already the tour operators, up to now, they are not yet open, which is again a very big challenge, because right now all tour companies have been closed, and that is a very big sector which is supposed to contribute. In fact, it's the #1 contributor of the exchange inflows in the country. Now, going back to the trading community, you will see that most of the sectors were closed, and we only remained with those who were operating with essential commodities. Now, apart from those who are dealing in essential commodities, the rest closed it down. And right now, if you look at the business closure, what happened after the closure, the rentals which accrued, the interest rate which has accrued on the bank loans, and if the way companies are struggling, and even with this partial opening where other sectors are not yet open, you can see we are really struggling, and even the economy is not fully recovered. I was looking at the figures, looking at the Uganda Stock Exchange, how the figures have now dived from 5,000 billion trading to down to just 272. That is in the last month of July. So you can see the impact will be so adverse, and the economy will actually very much collapse. Going to the closure and the proposed closure, the way we look at it is actually the first closure. What did we intend to achieve? Because when the economy was closed and we were not operating, we didn't expect maybe that this coronavirus would not enter the country. We would be preparing for just in case it comes. We have a method of managing it. We have the hospitals where to take the cases which are serious. We would prepare ground for, and enough medics to handle the cases of coronavirus. These are the areas which we are looking at. So right now, and the whole world has accepted that this is not a disease which has come and is going away very soon. It is going to be here with us for a number of years. Even if maybe they will find what we have called the vaccine. I don't think that vaccine will be a silver bullet which will eradicate it at once, or that will be accessible by the whole world at once. So in any case, we expect even when we get the vaccine, by the time it reaches this part of the world, time will have taken and a lot of water will have gone under the bridge. So what are we saying? Right now, we should know how to live with the coronavirus and see how we can manage it. we can see how to live with it and how we can avoid this spread and this rapid spread at that. And finally, once it catches up with us, we should know how to manage the patients and how we can handle the patients. These are the areas which we should look at, and observance and this razor-free sort of behavior where people think maybe the disease does not catch up with Ugandans, or we are so superior to it and it can't kill us. This is the area which we should address ourselves to, and even the medics should be addressing this area. And even the security personnel, in the implementation, we shouldn't look at the implementation, but by waiting a policeman or a security personnel to enforce what do we call SOPs. It shouldn't be the policeman to enforce it. It should be inculcated in our culture, in our way of living, such that when we have decided that please put on your mask, let us put on the mask. If you have said and then you have to sanitize, please do sanitize, and make sure that once you have moved or touched a ground which we are not sure of, please sanitize. So let us know how to manage ourselves. Let us know how to behave. Let us not wait for the law to find that. It's like somebody who is telling we have HIV/AIDS. This thing, HIV/AIDS, you shouldn't be waiting for somebody to superintend over you and tell you, please don't fornicate, don't go for extramarital sex. It should be within ourselves. This is the control which we are looking at.
Mr. Kayondo.
These are the areas which we should address ourselves to, other than second closure.
Mr. Kayondo.
Okay, yes, Apollo?
Yes, we are talking about lives being lost. The first lockdown, we didn't have deaths, but now we have deaths actually, numbers surging, the numbers of death. And the government probably is finding, producing or imposing another lockdown. What alternatives, what options you, the leaders of the business community, probably you could propose in such an instance?
Yeah, in fact, Apollo, this is exactly what I've been communicating, because at the first lockdown, it happened when we didn't have a sick person in the country. We didn't have any single case of coronavirus in the country. It happened when we were preparing, and that's what we presumed, that would have helped us to delay its coming to the country, and once it comes, to manage it such that it doesn't spread at a very fast speed. And in the case of those who have been infected, to see how they can be managed. So, like even when it came to my members in the trading community, this is exactly what happened. Before any arcade was opened, we had to ensure that it was abiding by the SOPs. It had to put the sanitizer in place. It had to put this temperature gun in place. It had to have a washing place, such that whoever accesses the arcade actually is clean, or he has sanitized, and his temperature has been checked. This is the management we are talking about, because if it was a lockdown that would prevent its continuous spreading, that would have been good. But right now we can't completely eradicate it. We can't run away from it. We have to just learn how to live with this coronavirus. This is what I am talking about, and actually what government should be doing now is to ensure that whoever is in whatever position is abiding by the SOPs. If you have allowed the taxis to carry passengers, do they have the sanitizers? Have they observed the distance in the vehicle? as prescribed by the Ministry of Health. These are the areas we are talking about, not second closure. Okay. I can look at the example. I told you I'm again the chairman of the tour operators. Right now, Kenya has opened their airport. Rwanda has opened their airport. Tanzania their airport has been opened. Right now, Qatar Airways is making 40 flights per week in Africa to 10 different destinations. Uganda is not yet open. But right now, should we suspend the opening of Entebbe Airport? The answer is no. Let us know how we are going to handle this, such that we are secure. We observe the SOPs as they have been put in place, such that we manage the disease. Elsewhere in Europe, you have seen even football matches. They are taking place, and right now what we are seeing, they are actually, for them, their leagues have been completed, and they are just opening over the next weekend a new. They are going to start the new league. That is the football league. Why don't you think for us we can manage it? And by the way, they have suffered more deaths than any of our country in Africa. But what they have learned is to observe the social distance, to observe the sanitization, behavior, and to ensure that they manage the disease. This is exactly what we are preaching. Let us ensure that all of us are responsible and we live responsibly, not just closure. If there is an arcade which does not abide by the SOPs, let that arcade be closed, not to close the entire economy.
Okay. Mr. Kayondo, you are representatives of the business community.
Yes, please.
And how far have you engaged?
Correct.
All the engagements with the authorities. Are you talking? Are you part of the decisions that are being made today as far as the fight against the spread of coronavirus is concerned?
Yeah, just two things. One, when President directed that we institute a committee which would make sure that the arcades are open when they are observing the SOPs. Our association was part of that team. We are together with the KCCA, we are together with the Ministry of Trade, we are together with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Kampala to make sure that these arcades observe the SOPs. They put around the gadgets to ensure that each entry is controlled and the guns are put in place. So we have been part of the exercise. We are part of the monitoring exercise to ensure that these arcades continue observing. But Kasita has gone even beyond. We have a coronavirus tracer, which that is an app which we have just discovered, and we are in talks with the Ministry of Health to make sure that instead of maybe taking records just as it was proposed with the border, that for each border passenger, whoever is taking, he first records their numbers. This software which we have developed at Kasita, you just place it is just a scanner. You just place your phone on the scanner and it just picks you. Whoever has been in contact with you will be traceable. When it has just taken over, and the records will be at the headquarters of the Ministry of Health. So what happens once you have been scanned and you have been found, in the first place it will indicate that it's green, meaning that you are still free. But once one of your contacts turns to be positive and is found with corona, all your contacts will flag yellow, meaning that you are a suspect and you are a connection. And these ones will be tracked from the public such that they will be put in the isolation center. Whoever is maybe checked and found is sick, then his contact will become red, and again his contacts of the contacts will also be turn yellow. So whoever is found sick, his contact becomes red, and before you are, you know it, that is when you have just scanned and you are free, you will still be reading green. So these are this software is very new, and we are talking with the Ministry of Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Health to make sure that once it has been made public and it is a must for public places where we are going, people will just scan. You don't need to take even people's details. You don't need to record. You simply scan, and this scanner can be printed and you place it somewhere on the wall. You don't need to meet any person. You just place your phone as you enter that place, or a hotel, or a public place, or a meeting. Then you will be declared that you are part of the contacts of that area. So one of the person around that place, if
that's a brilliant initiative. But you said you've been part of the exercise. What went wrong? Have you failed to talk to the traders and the business community to ensure that they adhere to the SOPs? What happened in the beginning, so that we are here now?
Apollo, don't be funny. I'm a Catholic, and Jesus was here 2,000 years ago. And the churches are all over. You mean sinning has stopped? It has not. So if I'm part of the exercise and people are supposed to observe the SOPs, don't think people will not misbehave. Don't think government. Here we have prisons, and there is always the law. You mean people have stopped breaking the law? So what I'm saying, people will continue not observing some of these SOPs. But for us, what we have to do is, one, to inculcate it in themselves so that somebody is not just forced, is not coerced, he doesn't wait for the policeman before he behaves. You don't wait for the policeman before you can put the mask on. No. You should be knowing that I must put, as long as I'm going to the public, I must put my mask on. As long as I've touched the ground which is suspect, I must sanitize. As I'm entering a new place, I must sanitize. So if it becomes part of you, then it is not a problem. So it's not a matter of that we have failed. It is not a matter of the fact that maybe we are not part of the arrangement or the surveillance team, but it is just a matter of knowing that some Ugandans will not behave the way you think until maybe you have forced them. So those are the ones we are talking about. Meanwhile, there will be some law-abiding Ugandans who will observe the SOPs without not even being forced. This is what I'm talking about, Mr. Apollo.
Finally, Mr. Kayondo, government, of course, today has released has come up with some new measures, including introducing the alert force in the police force, and of course other measures that have been in place. Your word to that, do you think probably that would change anything?
Yeah, it changes. You see, anything that is working in a positive direction is good. I was watching BBC very recently and SNN, and you know what happened? These guys have even trained the dogs at the airport. You you don't need even individuals to take your temperature. The dogs will detect that somebody's temperature is wrong, and they will come for you. Not that they will bite you, but they will arrest you. And for them, coronavirus is monitored by the temperature, by the dogs. So people have advanced so many things, and whatever is positively helping us must be encouraged so that we fight this pandemic all together. because definitely, like this software, if government buys it in and we can make it part of us, that will be also very good to go, and all of these other measures will help us to move forward.
So I must thank you so much for your time, and thank you for that insight as far as the prevention and measures to stop the spread of coronavirus is concerned. And we hope all the decisions that will be coming in from authorities will favor the business community, and the economy will keep growing and surviving. Thank you so much for your time. I must thank our viewers.
Correct.
We will always be here every Friday in the news, and my name is Simapolo, and now we go into the hashtag. Don't go away.